The Retail Podcast, a global conversation hosted by Alex Rezvan Bionet.
Hello and welcome back to another soundbite edition from the Retail Podcast. Today's podcast, we're going to look at the Future Consumer Report 2022 from WGSN. I had the great privilege of watching Andrea Bell present this report at NRF earlier this year, and in my humble opinion, Andrea's presentation at NRF and the content that she shared with the audience was hands down probably my favorite presentation throughout the 3 days that I was there. So why did I like this report and why do I think it's so important and so useful to you? Well, the report starts off talking about how, according to Ericsson in 2019, the Internet of Things forecast there will be around 29 billion connected devices globally by 2022. That's 3 times the population of the world. And obviously 5G will propagate, which will also mean that in developing countries, approximately 75% of the world's population will be online or have internet access, which is a massive opportunity for retailers and all things digital. But with this higher connectivity, we expect to also see the higher rates of digital emotional contagion, which basically means it's a behavioral trait that traditionally, and obviously when we look at influencers and how peer-to-peer commerce at the moment or social commerce is taking off, in this new connected world with 5G and connected IoT devices, contagion will happen within weeks, not months. And contagion, obviously, from a positive sense. I know right now, if you're listening to this podcast, we've got other types of contagion, but this type of contagion is obviously a positive momentum and how our behavioral aspects will change. So the 3 consumer profiles that they mention in the Future Consumer Report are the stabilizers, the settlers, and the new optimist. I'm not going to get into what they are and how they are, but it's important to highlight that some of the environmental factors that we've been seeing in the news will have an impact on the types of consumer that is being bred. And one of those, for example, are environmental factors or fear factors, and how the consumer of the future will have these big themes running through their minds when they're thinking of what brands or what retailers to interact with. So we've only got 4 minutes or 3.5 minutes left. So I'm going to dive straight into the actions and look at what are the recommendations of the report. Action point number 1, simplicity matters. In my previous podcast, I spoke about decision fatigue and how decision fatigue isn't necessarily a negative, but can be used as a positive. And in this report, one of the key things that they're saying is that simplicity matters. Having a simple and concise environment and messaging would lead to a better shopping experience and the sales to follow. Unified communications, whether it's the store associate, whether it's the customer in your store environment or the customer at home, this connection or this triangle of communication has to get better. And the segmentation that's going on will mean that people will only expect more from how communication and how brands and retailers communicate, not only with their own staff, with the consumer in their environment and in the consumer's home environment. And this connects to the next point, which is living in the live stream. Conversational commerce as well, which is another theme that I've been talking about for the last 3 years. For those who know me, and I've got some great partners that I've worked with who operate in this world, is absolutely here to stay. And innovative companies, and I'll do a whole section on this because I think it's such an area that people misunderstand when they talk about conversational commerce. And living in the live stream, as they highlight in the Future Commerce Report, is all about how you keep live stream shopping events to drive sales and social ROI. And when you look to China and we look to single days, it is all about this continuous conversation. Again, covered in another podcast when we look at Twitter and how they've mastered the art of the conversation. Point number 4, or action point number 4, AR, VR, transition into convenience. So as stores become smaller, the requirement to expand and be able to show more grows. One of the key ways that you can do this is through AR and VR. Obviously, I work at Microsoft, so I'm not going to talk about what the capabilities are there. There's obviously Magic Leap as well, but this is a market that will continue to grow as our thirst and hunger for interaction with brands and products grow within small format stores. Number 5, on-demand evolution. So retailers that provide a platform for group ordering and delivering will resonate with the Gen Zs, the Gen Ys out there, as brands will focus on a hyper-local last mile delivery. So the on-demand evolution is all about the last mile. Number 6, the power and savings of the pack. This is about the renewed interest in group deals and bundle buys. Whether you're going to Glastonbury and going to the silent disco and listening to your favorite DJ via headphones, this pack mentality or this group think mentality will continue to grow. Again, led and dominated by Gen Z and Gen Y. We've reached the top of the 5 minutes. It's been an incredible fast whirlwind. I hope you've enjoyed this. Obviously, I'd love to have your feedback. If you do want to email me, my email is alex@theretailpodcast.com. If you want to leave a comment, like, or subscribe, I would greatly appreciate that. Until next time, I hope you have an awesome day.